I feel like in watch-alongs and just watching games, it's just become so standard to see Gradey Dick not performing well. It's not even like he's just underperforming or anything. Like, this is just his standard. And we had another really poor performance in the recent win over the Chicago Bulls from Gradey Dick, and it's starting to get to the point where how can you justify playing this guy sometimes? Let's try and figure out what's going on. Rookie season, Gradey Dick, there was ups and downs for sure, but didn't start the greatest in the NBA. Went down to the G League, got some good reps, got some good play time, came back up to the NBA and started playing quite well for the Raptors. There was quite a good amount of promise shown in his rookie season, at least enough to really believe in the player going forward. Then in his second season, Gradey Dick burst out the gates, was excellent to start the season, was in serious contention for the most improved player award near the start of the season. Yes, he tailed off a little bit, but still put on a fantastic season for the Raptors. His role changed this year. The acquisition of Brandon Ingram has made it so that he is no longer a starter. Every game he played last season, he was a starter, but still have to understand the role is a little bit different, but I'm sure he would accept that role. You're bringing in an all-star in Brandon Ingram. And I thought that shooting injection off the bench would be a pretty good role for Gradey Dick, but it has not materialized in the slightest. And Gradey Dick is having an awful season for the Raptors. There's really no other way to put it here. 8.5 points per game in his rookie season. 14.4 last season in 54 games. Shot 36% from three in his first season, 35% in his second season. This season, though, he's down to 31% shooting from three. He's averaging 6 points a game. Minutes are down, and for good reason. It's really tough to justify playing him right now. You even go to true shooting, it's under 55%. He's struggling here. He really is struggling here. And it's alarming because, you really want young players' trajectory to be, going upward. You want to see the improvements on a year-to-year basis. And success is not necessarily always linear, but it's just alarming how ineffective he is on the court in so many of these games for the Raptors. Let's take this one in the recent game against the Bulls. Gradey Dick gets 9 minutes, 0 of 3 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3. Yeah, he had 5 rebounds. And you know what? To his credit, more recently in his games, he's been hustling more, trying to make the little plays that can make a difference. But let's be honest here. When the Raptors drafted Gradey Dick 13th overall, they drafted him for his shooting. They were drafting him for the three-point shooting, for the outside threat. And they were hoping other things would come along in his game. But at this point in year 3 of his career, the other parts of his game are just not coming along at all. And the biggest thing is he's just such a liability defensively. Just such a liability defensively for this team. And, you could question, his minutes are sporadic. It's tough for him to get in rhythm. Okay, maybe that can play on it a little bit, but you got to earn those minutes. This isn't a charity. We're not a tanking team. We're a 5th seed right now. We're trying to win games. So if you're not out there producing winning basketball, if we're 2/3 of the way through the season, we've got a large sample of what you can do this season. At a certain point, you just got to play better. You need to do more. And for Gradey Dick, his game revolves around his ability to shoot threes and his ability to space the floor. That's what gives him more space to attack closeouts. And that's what allows us, or maybe makes us want to play him in spite of the poor defense. Like I said, when he's not hitting threes, he's just not giving you anything. And he is such a liability defensively. The defense, maybe it has gotten better, but it's still nowhere near good enough to justify on the court for this team. And it makes me wonder, looking through the roster, it makes me wonder, what is Gradey Dick doing for us right now that somebody I'm not saying Jamison Battle is this outrageous player, but what is Gradey Dick doing in 9 minutes here that Jamison Battle couldn't provide? Because at the very least, Jamison Battle is a more sound defensive player than Gradey Dick. Is he, less of the hustle player? Is he less of a threat off the dribble? Is he not as effective in connecting the offense? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But to me, maybe I just need to see it a little bit more and larger sample. I don't know what it is. But to me, I'm just kind of wondering, what is it that we are getting from Gradey Dick's minutes that could not be provided by Jamison Battle? Because clearly the Gradey Dick minutes, clearly he's not playing well. To be honest, the minutes that Gradey Dick has played this season probably haven't been that bad. I remember the start of the season, as bad as Gradey Dick was playing, the Raptors were doing well in his minutes. Maybe it was a small sample, maybe because that his floor spacing is important for the team, and that's a value add to the team. But I feel like also that could be the case with Jamison Battle. On-off is just the net rating, just simple way to kind of gauge a good base to start and gauge how a player's effectiveness on the floor. Net rating of 2.7 with him on the floor, 1.2 with him off the floor. Not a big difference, but again, maybe a little bit better with him on the floor. What is it about? Our shooting percentages are relatively the same. Opposition shooting percentages actually drop quite a bit from 3 when he's on the floor, which I wasn't expecting. Not really sure why that's the case. Maybe just coincidence. Maybe it has an influence. I don't think it's much of an influence on him, but just interesting statistics to go through overall. I think it's clear to see when you watch him. I think it's clear to see looking at stats that he's not playing well. And doesn't mean it's over for him, but I did kind of want to see maybe Jamison Battle get a run of those minutes. We're not going to see that happen, though, because the news today is that Jamison Battle is not going to be spending some time with the Raptors 905, which hasn't happened. I don't think it's happened at all this season. So yes, the article does say here, first time that he's been sent down to play with the G League affiliate, the Raptors 905. I mean, sure, if he's not going to play, get him his minutes there, get him working with the 905, get the reps up for sure. But again, it's just is he really not going to be able to do what Gradey Dick is doing for us out there? Maybe he can't, but I just want that proven before this. So they continue to roll with Gradey Dick here. Maybe it's just belief in the potential there that you want to continue to play him because you know what the capabilities are there. But at the moment for Gradey, it's definitely not bleak, but at what point does it start to get there? He's in the third year of his rookie contract. I think it'd be, I don't really love the idea of him on $7.1 million next year, but I think it'd be a little bit early to just give up on a player you drafted 13th overall. So, not saying we're there yet where it's time to cut him, time to release him, time to move on or anything like that. But once that rookie contract is done, if it doesn't change for him next season, I think there will be questions about whether or not he has a future in the NBA. He's a great player with great ability who has not shown it this season, but, welcome to the league. You have to show it. You have to be able to produce on the court. He is not doing that for the Raptors. And it's a Raptors team that is very, very much lacking in shooting. And he was supposed to be an incredibly important piece because we're missing so much shooting. We need him to be able to produce it, to help us, to alleviate the constraints we have with shooting. But he hasn't done that. And it's concerning. I'm not labeling him a bust. I'm not saying, again, it's time to cut him. It's time to get rid of him. But it's very, very concerning at this point. And like I said, as far as this season is concerned, I'm ready to try something new.